The Curse of the Crimson Castle. Welcome to Storyational. Tonight we delve into a tale of terror, a legend steeped in blood and darkness. If you're ready for a story that will chill you to your core, stay with us until the end, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Storyational for more haunting stories. Now, turn off the lights, settle into your seat, and prepare yourself for the horrifying tale of The Curse of the Crimson Castle. Deep within the Bavarian Alps, where jagged peaks pierce the sky and mist clings to the earth like a ghostly veil, there stands an ancient fortress known as Castle Rosengard. Perched precariously on a cliff overlooking the shadowed valley below, the castle was once a beacon of power, wealth, and nobility. But its glory faded centuries ago, replaced by an air of foreboding so thick that even the bravest of souls would tremble at its gates. The castle is a place of whispers, of shadows, of secrets too terrible to be spoken aloud. Its dark history begins with its last master, the infamous Lord Alaric von Eichen, whose name still strikes fear into the hearts of the locals. Lord Alaric was no ordinary man. Born into privilege, he was known for his insatiable hunger for knowledge, particularly the kind forbidden by both the church and common decency. He studied alchemy, ancient rituals, and the occult, driven by a singular obsession: the quest for immortality. Alaric believed that life eternal could be achieved through the power of blood, the essence of life itself. He began experimenting in secret, luring peasants from the surrounding villages with promises of cures for their illnesses. But those who entered Castle Rosengard never returned. Some were said to have vanished into thin air, while others were found days later in the woods, their bodies drained of blood, their faces twisted in expressions of unimaginable terror. Despite the growing fear and outrage among the villagers, Alaric was untouchable. His guards patrolled the castle grounds day and night, and his wealth ensured the silence of those who might have dared to challenge him. But the villagers knew something terrible was happening within those stone walls. They spoke of strange lights that flickered in the castle's windows at night, of unearthly cries that echoed through the valley, and of a red mist that sometimes seeped from the castle gates, dissipating into the air like a foul exhalation. Then came the night of the blood moon. It was a night unlike any other, when the moon hung low in the sky, glowing a deep, ominous red. A violent storm rolled in, and lightning illuminated the castle in stark, jagged flashes. The villagers, huddled in their homes, heard the most terrible sounds, screams, chants, and a deafening roar as if the earth itself were splitting apart. By dawn, the storm had passed, and an eerie silence fell over the valley. A group of the bravest villagers ventured to the castle to uncover the source of the commotion, but what they found defied explanation. The grand hall, once a place of opulent feasts and celebrations, was unrecognizable. The stone floor was stained deep crimson, as though it had been soaked in blood. The walls were scorched, and the air was heavy with the smell of sulfur and decay. Of Lord Alaric and his household there was no trace. It was as if they had been swallowed whole by the castle itself. From that day forward, Castle Rosengard was abandoned, left to rot atop its cliff. But the villagers knew the curse was far from over. They spoke of shadows moving within the castle's windows, of ghostly cries that carried on the wind, and of a presence, something malevolent that lingered within the stone walls, waiting. Nearly 5 centuries later, in 1893, a young historian named Evelyn Hart arrived in the nearby village of Greifswald. Evelyn was a woman of great ambition and intellect, known for her daring expeditions to uncover the truths behind ancient legends. She had heard whispers of Castle Rosengard during her travels and was determined to unravel its mysteries. The villagers, however, were less than welcoming. They regarded her with suspicion and fear, urging her to abandon her quest. The castle is cursed, they told her. Those who enter never return. But Evelyn was not easily deterred. Armed with her journal, a lantern, and a strong sense of curiosity, she made her way to the castle one cold, misty evening. The sight of the fortress looming above her, its turrets shrouded in fog, sent a chill down her spine. But she pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. The castle gates creaked open with an unnatural groan, and she stepped inside, the air growing colder with every step. The grand hall was just as the villagers had described, dark, foreboding, and dominated by the infamous crimson stain that seemed to shimmer faintly in the flickering light of her lantern. Evelyn could feel the weight of the centuries pressing down on her, the oppressive silence broken only by the sound of her own breathing. She began her exploration, moving through the castle's decaying corridors and dusty chambers. In the library, she discovered a book bound in black leather, its pages filled with cryptic symbols and writings in a language she did not recognize. One phrase, however, was repeated over and over. "He who seeks eternity must embrace the crimson sacrifice." As she read the words aloud, a sudden gust of wind extinguished her lantern, plunging her into darkness. A low, guttural whisper filled the room. "Leave, or suffer the curse." Despite the warning, Evelyn pressed on, her determination outweighing her fear. She found a hidden staircase behind a tapestry, leading deep into the bowels of the castle. The air grew colder with each step, and the faint glow of red light began to illuminate the darkness. At the bottom of the staircase was a chamber unlike anything she had ever seen. The walls were lined with grotesque carvings, and at the center of the room stood a stone altar. Lying atop it were the skeletal remains of Lord Alaric, his hollow eye sockets seeming to stare directly at her. The air grew heavy, and the red glow intensified, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. Evelyn felt a sudden, overwhelming sense of dread as the whispers returned, louder this time, almost deafening. The skeletal figure on the altar began to move, its bony fingers reaching toward her. The room seemed to close in around her, the walls pulsating as if alive. She screamed, but her voice was swallowed by the oppressive darkness. When the villagers found her the next morning, Evelyn was seated in the grand hall, her journal open on her lap. Her hair had turned stark white, and her eyes were empty, staring into nothingness. She never spoke again. Her journal, however, told a different story. The final entry, written in a trembling hand, read, "The curse is eternal. The crimson sacrifice must never end." To this day, Castle Rosengard remains untouched, its gates sealed by time and fear. On nights of a blood moon, some say you can see a woman in white standing in the castle's highest tower, her empty eyes fixed on the valley below, waiting for the next soul brave or foolish enough to enter. If this story left you breathless, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Storyetional for more chilling tales. Remember, some doors are best left closed. Until next time, if you dare.